Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. If you love this watch, email us. Team Mosso at the 1916company.com is your purchase and pricing email. For your questions about this or any of our watches, email us for pricing, tmosso at the 1916company.com. Today, we're discussing one of the rarest and most unusual watches ever to hit the channel. Made in 2023 in an edition of 8 pieces. This is the Grade 5 titanium Angelus Alain Silberstein U11 Streamline Tourbillon. Technically, this is also Grail Watch 7 from a series created with Revolution and Rake magazine founder Waco, who is a style authority and a formidable connoisseur of horology. This watch brings Waco, Angelus, and Alain Silberstein together, exploiting all of their strengths and experience. Now, it should be mentioned that this watch is based on the Angelus company's comeback watch. After 3 decades, Angelus was revived in 2015 with the U10 Tourbillon Lumiere. Now, Angelus, dating back to 1891, is a grand old brand known for everything from chronographs to calendar watches to desk clocks. And it came back in a big way with the U10 Tourbillon, very different from what they sold in the past, but a statement of commitment from Angelus and its owner, the manufacturer lug-to-lug, which is behind the engineering of these horlogerie pieces. So this watch is envisioned by Silberstein to make the changes he imagined when he first saw the U10. Basic stuff. Grade 5 titanium is hypoallergenic and lighter than steel, just like Grade 2, but it polishes up better and it's harder than conventional 316 and 904L steels, so it's tougher to scratch. The watch is 61 millimeters from end to end, not inclusive of the crown. It is 45.4 millimeters from lug to lug, so super short across the wrist. Without the crystals, it's 12.5 millimeters thick as I measure it. It is 14.5 millimeters thick with the crystals. Now, the way this wears, very much like a millinery or a vintage Omega Dynamic, or a Ploprof for that matter. So it's long down the wrist, but it's short across the wrist. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you could see that those lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. Also, it's surprisingly cuffable due to the slope of the case and also the camber of the crystal. And from over the top, you can see how far inboard the edge of my wrist the edges of this case really are. So while my wrist is 16, I think even a lady with a wrist of 13.5 centimeters circumference could wear this. Remember, 45.4 millimeters across the wrist. A Rolex Daytona on a solid end link bracelet is 51. Also, a major change that Alain Silberstein made from the U10 was to move the time to the crown side closer to the hand. So the original version of the watch featured the time where the tourbillon is located on this one, and you can easily envision how it would fit underneath a cuff just enough so that you would see the tourbillon but not the time. Well, Silberstein reversed the order, which makes fantastic sense. Never say he's not a practical man. He is whimsical, but he is also very practical. Taking a look at the strap, it is ballistic rubber with a textile pattern, and you can see on the bottom, Angelus branded, no crimping, no gouging, a brand new factory strap. Fixed the case using special spline screws, a more secure arrangement than spring bars. Always love to see that on an expensive watch. We have a double folding clasp whose internals are stainless steel for greater strength, and the double fold, in my experience, is less likely to pinch a small wrist than a single fold. We've got the Angelus logo, we have satin, we have polish, and you can see a little bit of assembly using those spline screws again, but beautifully decorated. Every detail has been sweated here. Now, the watch looks a little bit like a hotel soap 3 days into your stay, but that's intentional. The original U10, some described it as looking like a radio, others said it looked like a TV, some said it looked like a shaver, an electric shaver. This is a little bit more organic. This is the Streamline Tourbillon after all, and Alain Silberstein is well known for his admiration of De Stijl, Deutscher Werkbund, and Bauhaus design language, but he was also personally a fan of the American industrial designer Raymond Loewy, who was at the peak of his powers in the 40s and the 50s, and he also helped to design the Pennsylvania Railroad S1 locomotive in the late 1930s, which was renowned for its streamlined design and overwhelming power and speed. So from the rather rectangular shape, the U10, we now have this smooth, streamlined form on the U11. And you can see not only does it taper longitudinally, but also in profile, it really slopes down with wonderfully bubble-like sapphires that have a gorgeous camber to them. We also have Silberstein's much-loved primary colors and fundamental shapes, similar to work he's done both with his own brand and on recent collaborations with Louis, or for that matter, his collaborations with MB&F. He's been an in-demand designer since his brand closed down formally in 2012. Well, his new watches are going to be getting off the ground soon, so expect to see the Silberstein name in the future on the dial of watches as well. But this is a fantastic collaboration with Angelus. Now you can see that the dial, of course, Eastern Arabic numerals. 4 of these were made with conventional Arabic numerals, what we consider numerals in the West. And then 4 were made, as you see here, with the Eastern Arabics, and I actually prefer this version. Taking a quick look at the tourbillon, it was the standout feature of the U10, and it's the standout feature here. It's also what drew Alain Silberstein to this model when he had the collaboration in mind. You can see it's a flying tourbillon, so there is no upper bridge to block your view. It's a 1-minute tourbillon, and it beats away at 18,000 vibrations per hour, which is super slow, stately, and pocket watch-like. It's wonderful to see, it's wonderful to hear. And then you can see the use of an overcoil hairspring, preferable to a flat hairspring, because in any position, an overcoil with its more centered mass will keep more regular time. I'll also opine that this is the best finished part of the movement. You can see black polishing on the top of the tourbillon carriage as well as on the center and the regulator, and then mirrored bevels on every surface. You can also see them well on the base of the tourbillon carriage. We have satination and beveling on the bridge for the escapement underneath. It is beautifully decorated. All this is 30 meters water resistant, easy to adjust. As you see, just pull the crown out and it's a little bit of a rolling riot with all those different colors and shapes. Silberstein is nothing if not whimsical. Taking a look at the back, we have the same caliber 100 that powered the U10. There have been some changes to make the watch thinner and more streamlined. Silberstein did away with the lateral power reserve of the U10 as well as the deadbeat second system, and that is all to the benefit of the more compact fit and profile of the watch. Taking a look here, you can see that there's a combination of polished beveling, black polishing, satination, and then we have deep grooves with media blast for the base plate, which is made of German silver and rhodium plated. We have twin barrels with phased mainsprings, so not only do we get a 90-hour power reserve, but a super flat torque plateau. So for most of those 90 hours, it will keep outstanding regular time due to the presence of consistent force to the escapement. And that is down to the phased double mainsprings of the twin barrel arrangement, all this pivoting on 38 joules. It is impressively decorated, though all the action is on the dial side with the tourbillon. Grail Watch. What is Grail Watch? Well, Grail Watch is Waco. It's a company he founded specifically to quarterback collaborations between great designers and great brands. And I also have to mention that there is kind of a fourth party in the room here. Silberstein, Angelus, and Waco, yes, but also Sebastian Cholmonte, whose vision as the head of development for Angelus was responsible for the resurrection of the brand and the design of the U10. So he is responsible for the engineering and the watchmaking you see here, even though he has long since moved on to new pastures at Salita. He deserves to be credited with his work on the U11. Fundamentally, this is still his engineering and watchmaking. If you love this extraordinary timepiece, reach out to us, Team Mosso at the 1916company.com.